Let's do this. All right. Sam, Yoav, welcome on today's podcast.
Hello.
Hey, great to be here.
Hey, awesome. Let's just dive right in and let's just say, like, how did you guys like get into making music?
Uh, just like for my own personal, well, I can say that for my end, it was being on Newgrounds. Someone who was making remixes, who goes by the name of Mr. Simon, was showing that he was doing stuff with FL Studio, and that got me thinking like maybe I could like mess with that software because it seems like it would be especially in internet culture, everyone wants to remix everything, and it was like the culture especially at the time. And since I was like basically 13, 14, I've basically been messing with doing music on the computer. Independently, I wasn't going to music school. This was all like self-taught, just, did a couple of bad songs and then eventually I made good ones.
So that's how you like got into like making music.
Yeah, it was basically just a lot
Wow.
of basically being on the internet, because it was so nice, like with the dawn of the internet, like in 99, it just shows that everyone could just make stuff independently, and that was like, because by that point it's like you see all often like just big productions on like music and TV, and it's not like that obvious that you could just make stuff amateurly and show it to the world and people will like it.
Yeah.
I also think part of one of the things to take away from that is like a lot of people I know who like really want to get into making music are like, oh, I can't do it. My music isn't good. And I think a big thing is like being willing to start and be not good. And like you're nobody starts good. Like there are
Hmm.
certainly people who start more advanced than other people, but like ultimately nobody starts good enough, at least. And I think being willing to just like make some stuff because it's fun and not because it's going to be a masterpiece, but just saying, you know what, like I really want to do this, I think is so important because I think a lot of people like who want to make music also obviously listen to music and they know like what professional music sounds like. And I think it's so important to say, like, your music doesn't have to start out sounding professional. And almost, in basically every case, it won't. And it's important to like accept that and say, hey, you know what? Like, I want to do this because I want to do this. And I'm never going to get there if I don't, you don't get to third base without stopping at first and second. So I think that is definitely an important thing for people to keep in mind.
I mean, after all, I mean, everyone starts somewhere, don't they? I mean,
Totally.
everyone
Yeah,
starts somewhere.
yeah. No one gets it right the first time. That just how talent's built, I guess.
Totally.
Yeah, right. So now that we got what got you into music, what I want to know, like personally speaking, is like what inspired your specific style of music? Because like your music is very, very unique style wise, if that makes sense. Like like you can tell like it's made by you from like a mile away. So what inspired your style essentially?
I I actually don't, I'm not sure how to answer it because it's like a lot of it is just based on a lot of different things that, I personally would take in. Like we're talking about, because I've always known myself as someone who, picks up on a lot of different, things that I used to hyper fixate on, like, specific games I grew up with, or like bands that I would listen to a lot. So even if I tell you like my favorite band is like System of a Down, it a lot of it just comes from paying attention to what I personally like, and if it tends to correlate nicely to what other people seem to like about my work when I am inspired by all of that. So I don't know. I guess my approach has always been there's a lot of things that I particularly like, and I combine them and paying attention to what I like versus what other people like, kind of thing, and seeing the connection there. Also helps
I,
that yeah, go for it.
I was just going to say that like as an outsider, it's something that I've thought about a lot because obviously like when we started working together, I was like, oh, huh, how does Yoav make music? Why does his music sound like this? And something that I definitely noticed was a high presence of influence that I wouldn't have expected. When you say it's like, well, it's kind of like electronic music, it's kind of dancy. There's a lot of elements of like folk, funk, and ska that I think are less obvious. And I think it's definitely, I think a lot of people who are making electronic music too use electronic music as the main influences. And I think one of the things that makes you so interesting as a musician and as a collaborator is that in spite of the fact that you're usually making electronic music, your influences are usually not electronic songs.
Yeah, a lot of it does come outside. It's that's the thing, because a lot of electronic music tends to favor structure and also keeping the root key very similar. And to go outside of it is often like, that's why it led to a very specific internet music. It's yeah, no, I don't know. It's um I think what Sam mentioned is correct in terms of like how this is a lot of it just coming outside of electronic music.
Yeah, yeah, I can definitely see that. Yeah, I know a little about how music works. My stepdad actually is a musician and music teacher, so know a little bit about like how music is formed and such. Like I even dabbled a little bit of it, but yeah, like what Sam said, I can definitely notice the little folk, daft, and yap. Was it
Ska.
ska? Yeah, I don't know what that is. I never heard of
Oh,
that.
really? So ska music is characterized by the use of a lot of like brass instruments and chord hits on the twos and fours, which are very
Oh,
common in the way that Yoav composes. Is the bum 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 is very ska.
oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah. Again, I know very little of music.
Well, most pop and electronic music hits the chords on the ones and threes. And so it is a very distinct way to create
Yeah.
electronic music.
Yeah, it's very, I wouldn't say like unconventional. Actually, wait.
No, it totally is. I completely agree.
Yeah, like yeah, that's really cool. It's just again, that's just it's really like the creative process and such, just picking up different things you like or find interesting and just use it in a way that you think would be good. Just
Absolutely.
yeah.
I mean, everyone loves what they do, I guess.
Totally.
I
I,
mean,
th- I think
agree.
honestly, the big thing about it is that I think people should just chase after their dreams and just work for it, and then once they put in that hard work, then they'll definitely get something out of that.
It's
If that
also
makes sense.
important, and that's like the struggle with doing things in a particular way, is that you're not, I mean, we talked earlier about making things in the beginning that might not be good, but it's also in combination of believing harder in your own instincts as like something that you see working for yourself. Because in the end of the day, you work hard, but you want to work hard for yourself. Like, this is important. It's easy to think that what you're doing is not like good because it's not good enough, but in reality it's more like you just need to let people ease into what you're making differently from other people, and it requires a lot of patience and understanding yourself in that sense, I guess.
It's it's definitely something though. It really is. Wow. Yeah. I actually because when I was younger, me and my younger brother, because he was more into music than I ever was, because I used to be a vocalist actually.
Oh,
I never opened up
Cool.
about this, but I guess I'm gonna be finally coming out with this. But I used to be a vocalist, and I used to make a duo with my younger brother. We would always it was like a small little band we had actually with a couple of friends from school, and we actually tried writing our own songs and stuff, and we were actually into rock.
oh. I mean, the closest thing I ever got into like
Yeah.
full-fledged music was like being in a couple like in two school musicals and neither getting to be in those musicals either because of COVID or just dropping out of it.
Mm.
Yeah. I mean the closest thing I like other than that, like the only thing I could think of was like doing like a marshmallow challenge when I was younger of singing the FNaF songs. Again, I was very young. I was trying to like be cool and hip, but essentially.
Nah, cringe is dead. It's fine.
Yeah, agreed.
Honestly, Jackson, don't give up on what you want to do most.
Hey, thanks.
You're
Unless it's
welcome.
not your passion, that's the thing. Like,
Yeah.
because if you'd stop because you're like, well, nah, I'm less into music than I thought, kind of thing. That's fair. I mean, it's important not to force anything.
That's very true.
Yeah.
I agree with that actually. Uh, so this is one of the questions. So do you guys like have a favorite video game in mind or any songs at all?
Particular songs in particular. I know usually. Okay, let's see what my answer is. I'm huge into old school video games. Metal Slug 3 is like the pinnacle of old school arcade games for me because it's like so much effort put into the graphics of it, and it's like upscale. It feels like if an arcade game suddenly had like $1 million in budget to make something really cool with pixel art, and usually that's like my the thing that I'm into. Musically, like I said earlier, like System of a Down, like I'm a huge fan of. I think like I'm starting to really hyperfixate on particular songs these days, where it's like Velvet Underground did a song called After Hours that I think is very, I resonate with that song a lot. It feels like this kind of happy song, but it has like this connotation to it kind of like interpersonal, like how do you feel like good with other people kind of thing. Very yeah. This I think that would be my answer.
I actually never heard of this answer before. And what was the game called again? Metal Slug, or did I get that
Yeah.
wrong?
Metal Slug 3, yeah.
Metal Slug 3. Okay, yeah, no. So yeah, I wasn't really all into gaming much growing up. I will say though, like I was more of like a COD player. So it's funny because
Ah,
I would
cool.
because yeah. Mhm.
Oh no, I was just saying cool.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. I mean, maybe we could play Call of Duty sometime.
Well, I'm not much of a COD player. I'm more of a Deep Rock Galactic kind of person, to be honest.
Then we'll play Deep Rock Galactic then with
We're
Jackson.
rich. We're rich.
We're rich.
We're rich.
We're... Thank you. Sam, what are your favorite games or music?
Ooh, I would say one of my favorite games is a game called Yoav knows what I'm about to say. A game called Arcanum. It came out in I think 2001. It was created by these RPG designers Tim Kaine and Leonard Boyarsky, who were also the creators of the first two Fallout games and Vampire the Masquerade Bloodlines. It's an isometric RPG. It's super open ended. I think anybody who plays it, who was like a huge Baldur's Gate 3 fan, would see where this game kind of influenced that. I think there's a lot of influence on Baldur's Gate 3 from Arcanum, in my opinion. I certainly see it. And I love games like that. Like I really did enjoy Baldur's Gate 3. I'm currently playing my way through Yakuza Like a Dragon Infinite Wealth. I didn't play actually the earlier Yakuza games with Kazuma Kiryu. I'm a later Yakuza franchise enjoyer, but yeah, I just started playing those and I like them. But I think Arcanum is definitely my favorite game of all time. And music wise, there is I would say, in terms of kind of slightly off the beaten path answers, there's a garage rock band from the 60s I love a lot called the Sonics, who have a lot of like really great kind of like hard old school rock. And then there's a band from the early 90s I really like a lot called Jellyfish, who do kind of like prog power pop. They're really fun, and just like they make a lot of interesting and very theatrical choices, and I think I'm very drawn to kind of theatrical songwriting.
Yeah, I think I've heard of the Jellyfishes before. I didn't they make a song for that one Mario music CD thing?
No, Jellyfish. They, as far as I'm aware, their like recorded music career only lasted like a couple years. They had one album in 1991, just called Jellyfish, and then another album in 1992 called Spilled Milk, and then they broke up. But those albums are so good. And the members of Jellyfish all went off to like produce and write songs for other artists that were really good too. So I don't know. I think they're super great.
No,
Yeah,
Jellyfish
okay,
is awesome. Sam introduced me to them, and I've been still listening to the Spilt Milks and today. Andy Strummer is like one of the leads. I think he's the one who moved on to do the theme song to Teen Titan.
Yes, yeah. He
Oh,
made that with
yeah,
Hi Puffy
yeah.
Amiyumi.
Yeah. Also, I just
and
looked it
and
up.
then Emi Pamimi later did the cover of a Jellyfish song. So it was really funny how it goes back in a circle.
Yeah. Also, I just looked up. They actually did do a song for that one Mario CD.
No
was it called-
way.
Yeah, they did. Ignorance is Bliss.
That was
that's
for a
funny.
Mario CD?
Yeah, it was like a whole
No
Mario
way.
music. It was like a book/music CD containing original songs.
I had no idea that because
Yeah.
I've heard the song, but I never knew that was for a
Oh
Mario
yeah,
CD.
yeah. As far as I'm aware of, Jellyfish
that's
wrote-
so
wrote the
cool.
song. All right. Moving on. So the next question being, what made you guys form the Living Tombstone group to begin with? Like, or just where did the Living Tombstone come from? To be more precise.
Like the idea of creating the Living Tombstone?
Yeah, just like where did it come from? Essentially, and
It came from basically in around 2011. There was this idea to open a new YouTube channel because at the time I did other stuff on a different one called Cool Fox at the time. And then the Living Tombstone was trying to do a bit of a concept where it's. I was watching the anime Black Lagoon at the time, and the idea was to have like a fictional rock band with that name that would be like the Mercs that work in the city of Rhinoper, which is what the show is based on, and that there would be like a rock band with that name. And I wanted to be kind of like Gorillas, where it would sound like a real band, but it's actually basically all produced by one person and all made by one person. But at the time, I wasn't sure if that would come off as such, so I decided to just keep the name and say, "All right, sounds cool. Let's make music on the net and see where it goes." And I wasn't necessarily thinking too much into the process of what the name could represent, because I remember like basically right after being introduced to the My Little Pony fandom and wanting to make music under there. So that became like the identity is like it's very very much about connecting it to cool things that TV shows or something to get into or obsess over and making songs about it. And basically over time, like the Living Tombstone actually became this concept much later in life. Basically, Sam joined in 2018, and a big reason for that was because of the success we had together working on Ordinary Life. So the song was kind of like a big proving point that the Living Tombstone can have like legs outside of because the Living Tombstone has been known for a lot of songs, but all of them are very much based on things that very much I and the rest of the internet are all very much into. But the idea was, well, let's give it a test. I don't know how can I go in a different direction, coming up with something that could be from scratch kind of thing. I mean, I did it a couple of times, but it wasn't to this level of what the song is successful wise. And then in 2016, and then in 2018, when Sam joined, like the concept was, all right, let's see if we can make this into an actual band, which is basically been the concept from the very beginning, but this time to actually take it forward, because this all seems to work out. And I don't know, it's easier like working with Sam. It's like if I was to try to come up with more original stuff from scratch, it's much harder when you do it by yourself. So you have to like focus on a lot of different things. And Sam is a very talented writer, composer, songwriter, vocalist, and does a lot of very, very cool things on his own. And then the idea was, well, it's easier to be inspired by somebody else. And Sam inspires me as a guy who makes songs and produces stuff for the Living Tombstone, because it's easier to, again, if I like, think A, like from It's a Freddy's, and I know what to take from it and be inspired by it, it's much easier when you have a lot of ideas and stories and concepts and characters coming up from someone else like Sam. So that's like a big thing.
Well, Yoav inspires me too very much every day.
Yeah.
They both seem to
So
work
nice
very
of you.
well.
And basically, and Sam and I, like, that's the thing. We're, even though it didn't start off this way, I mean, it, to me, I always naturally wanted this to be something that would be, the Living Tombstone just keeps escalating as like, because sure, it's like there's music in it and there's a concept and stuff that you can connect to, but the Living Tombstone also feels a little bit bigger than that in terms of like where it could go, and I was not expecting, in my bedroom, starting this off, that this would, be a career that I would be having. Like, I thought, like, oh, I'm gonna have fun making music, and if people like it, then that's awesome. But there's so many other musicians. Like, I'm not that different. And then over time, I realized that there's something very interesting as to what's emerging from this. So, this is a very Sam, this is a very interesting like journey. This thing is, I have I have a hard time sometimes wrapping my head around what this like becomes and everything. But don't overthink it, as they say.
Well, I totally, and I think, something that has occurred to me in the past is that like the shelf life of most music acts is like 5 years. And Yoav and I have been working together for 7.
Yeah,
And
longer than basically than I started it at this point.
yeah, and
Yeah.
it just goes to show that like, really the foundation for TLT working really is kind of just the friendship that we've developed over the years, because like I think it's impossible to keep something going this long if you don't have that. And that is really
Hmm.
important, to not just like find a collaborator, but like find a collaborator that like, I've spent as much time with Yoav as I have with like any member of my family at this point. You know what I mean? Like it's, you have to find someone that you're willing to like, is willing to, you would have be kind of like your partner as you like go throughout life, and like as you grow, and Yoav knew me long before I was a dad, and I'm a dad now, and like there's all,
Hmm.
life changes in so many ways, and it's so important to find someone who's like, who you care about each other, and you like grow with each other, and all of that stuff. And I think we're very lucky to be in the position that we're in.
Oh, in so many accounts, I agree. I
You
mean,
both have touched the lives of millions of people out there, even more than you could possibly imagine. You both did something good here on this planet.
no, thank you. I mean, but
Thank you.
I will
that's
say
kind
you're
of it,
welcome.
though, is that Sam and I, we're
Mhm.
both very conscientious of the responsibility to our audience that we have in terms of the stuff we try to put out, and we want this to continue to have a shelf life. And we come from, which I feel like it's amazing that we managed to, like, as partners on this project, to it's delicate, but at the same time we don't want to just treat it as if it's just something safe to do. So a lot of the challenge has been to work together to keep making this be what it could be, which is like not necessarily just its own thing, but its own thing for people to feel like this can grow the same way that we grow together. So what I mean is that, and that's kind of the big thing. It's like, um, we have so many fans, including you guys, that have been our fans for a very long time, like very long time. And like ourselves and like you guys, like we grow together. And that's I think the difficulty of trying to maintain a shelf life is that sometimes it doesn't always seem to reflect that, and it's difficult to sometimes maintain it, because we can also grow apart in that sense. But we try to be very aware of that and do our best with this new stuff that we're coming up, which is, by the way, amazing. I'm so excited for the new music that's coming out.
Oh
um
yeah.
and the new albums are really good. Like, it's all stuff that we knew how to try our best to keep what's important to everyone when it comes to the musicality of it and what makes the Living Tombstone unique. But in the same token, we also want to make sure that when we grow with the audience, that we know how to surprise you still, because it's always easy to, that's the balancing act here, really, is that you both want to hear something that you're familiar to, but at the same time you also want to not feel as if you're being fed the same song over and over. So there's a lot of like, yeah, no, it's just a lot of things to think about when it comes to growing up like that.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And this is honestly something people should take and use it for their own self.
It's important that when you grow up, that you just basically, always remember who's like with you. Always remember that in the end of the day, you can have people be by you in the same time as, like, something to keep aligning yourself to make sure that you're not like losing like your sense of how you grow as a person or grow as a musician in this case. The Living Tombstone is doing good. I don't know.
I'm very proud. I'm very proud of you both.
Yeah, yeah, same here, man. Or I agree. Well, just
But like, what's your process for making music though?
We
Yeah.
a lot of the time it's basically focusing on our respective strengths and trying to basically, as we work together, to see if we can find ideas first from there, and then eventually we also start to, help each other on our respective stuff. So, for example, you know, we're both musicians and we both have a lot of understanding of the same expertise in making music, but I like consider like Sam like a fantastic vocalist and songwriter, and I see myself as someone who has been doing music production for as long as I can remember, and we try to first land on the things that we're comfortable doing, or at least the things that we can like do first, and then we eventually start to combine stuff together and see if there's something new here and there, kind of like until it becomes something that we works on, but from like I guess the perspective of ideas or the way we come up with things. Some of it in the beginning comes to some philosophizing just to see like what could be a good song for a thing that we care about and want to see if there's a cool way to encapsulate a song about. Or in the case of what we do now is like pick a big theme and see if we can make songs around this theme. So for example, 01 is very much about self-actualization because that's kind of like the way the character is represented in the band, and and basically the 10 songs all follow different through lines of what this could mean for us as people who try to internalize what it means to be dealing with things that you feel could be better for yourself in that sense. And for example, 5 Minutes of Freddy's is like a lot of it is paying attention as to what all the commonality ideas or themes that you could feel instinctively as like a song. So like Furniture Freddy's is because it's about animatronics and it's about the story of souls of children who were murdered in animatronics, or at least that's what's heavily implied throughout the series. You figure out through that, like if you want to produce a song with like a vocoder effect on the vocals and see if there's like a cool way to make it part of the storytelling. And I think that's a big thing we do actually. A lot of the stuff that seems to succeed for us, or at least in terms of what it can mean as a theme for our songs, is a lot of focus on storytelling, or at least making sure that a lot of what's conveyed is obviously a character, or obviously something that you can immediately grab onto while you're listening to the song as a motif or a theme.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
big. Storytelling, world building, lore, like that's all very front of mind when we're writing songs.
What goes through your minds like when you guys like are writing these songs and then composing them, and then what goes through the minds of like just for the Living Tombstone as like a whole, like every songs that you put out?
It's really just like it's like if something really matters to us, then we as part of the understanding how delicate it is to be making a song about something that people, not just ourselves, like care about. We try to see if by making the song about a thing like again, Finance and Phrase, for example, like if someone else like listens to it, like would they understand like that this is what the song's about, or that all the kind of like the sum of its parts, like does it seem like something that people would appreciate because they first know what the song's about. I think that's the interesting thing about this, is that a lot of it is about things that what it is about first, and then you listen to the song and you see if this like based on what you know about it, would that interest you in listening to the rest of it, which has been like a very big teachable lesson for me when it comes to songwriting and making songs, or how often this is like about understanding and being understood through the songs that you write, basically.
So essentially, you mainly want to make sure the song stands on its own. Is that correct?
That is
Definitely.
true. but it's always important that because it's easy to get lost in what this is, or feel like this doesn't speak to you. And obviously music is a matter of taste, and there's a lot of factors when it comes to it. But based on how I understand the internet, or based on how I understand just internet culture in general, is that in that pocket there's obviously things that people really are interested in. And being an internet kid myself, I notice what people like, or what people don't like, and there seems to be like a lot of commonalities there. So it's really just about knowing your audience, really, as well.
Yeah, that also
It's
makes
about
sense.
it's always about knowing your audience, it's knowing about your surroundings and the people you're around.
Yeah, so next question being, so now that we got your creative process into making songs, like what we want to know is like, what is your favorite songs that you guys made? Like it could be any song, like past, present, etc. Just like what do you like? Like which song did you like the most when making it, or just in general?
It's hard to say, because I really like a lot of songs that we made, like a lot of songs.
Yeah.
There's even stuff from the new album that I even consider even better than a lot of stuff I wrote, and which is like, I mean, as far as I know, like it's gonna be released sooner rather than later. And we have also a tour going on, like in the summer, so a lot of stuff from the new album is gonna be played live there, which is exciting. But yeah, no, there is seriously something in the new album that I like right now, consider as like my favorite song.
I totally agree, and I know which one you're talking about, and I'm completely
Yeah.
on the same page
And
with you.
is this album unreleased?
Yes,
Oh,
it
so it's
is.
not even out yet.
No, and the first music from that album will be coming this year.
Oh, well,
Mhm.
oh boy. Looks like
The
all of you Living Tombstone fans out there got something new to listen to this year.
Oh, yes.
Anticipation's killing me. Personally speaking, I do have a favorite song, but I'm gonna be saving that near the end because it revolves around a question. But again, we'll save that.
Cool.
All right then. Um, we already all know this. Like the Five Nights at Freddy's song was like one of your top biggest hits in the past. When FNaF 1 was still a thing when it first came out, and then like what got you guys into like Five Nights at Freddy's, and like what like did you guys ever expect to like make a total of like 6 different Five Nights at Freddy's songs based off the franchise?
No, and the reason being is that obviously when the first game came out, it wasn't obvious that this was going to be something that would turn into a franchise, and that when a sequel was announced, like that obviously became like a question of like, can we do something cool with that? Um, Five Nights at Freddy's, in the end of the day, like when that first emerged and people started to talk about it, I think the thing that was making it more interesting, as someone who has been on the internet for, it's really just has been what can you play with in terms of like making music about it. That was like because even though a lot of people will gravitate towards like the obvious qualities about Final Fantasy, which is like the character designs, which are amazing, and the concept being Chuck E. Cheese but horror, is that you suddenly have something to grab onto as a like a story, like in terms of the hidden meaning and the lore of it, that made it so much more interesting because there's so much to fill in the blanks. And it wasn't at the time where I'm that Scott Cawthon knew like where this was gonna be going story wise. He probably just thought this was gonna be one game, and he didn't really think much of it at the time. And I come from the background of making songs about other fandoms before, so you already have like this understanding that fans are gonna be seeing how can you both respect what this is about, but at the same time see if you have your own spin on it, which is why each song became its own interesting theme or idea that like tries to explore what that game or this game represented, and also what represented from a personal standpoint in some to so much respect. I mean, I don't know. I think like a lot of the time, even if you make a song about something else, like from the Freddy's, like there's still a big part of you that you write in it, and it becomes obvious that you relate to it from a personal place as well. Sing 6 songs in, like by the 6th song, which is like the one that we spent the most time, conceptualizing, what the video could be and what the song could be, and there's so many different layers to that one. That also felt like we managed to, look back at the first FNaF song and say, how do we also address the fact that we have fans, being with us for as long as they have? Because in the end of the day, like that was already close to 10 years by that point, being 6 songs.
And in each song that you've released for the Five Nights at Freddy's games, like every single one, it represents its own thing. It speaks for
It's more
itself.
that each one was like almost like, because each game came out like a year after, and it's almost like during at this year, like this is the game about why am I forgetting names right now? It's
Take
so
your
many
time.
games. So like I'm talking about, let's say the fourth one, like this one is about dealing with a nightmare or dealing with something that's like, throws you off into a different idea. Or the third one, being about dealing with the past of whoever made Final Fantasy Freddy. So you kind of find different ways to relate to it in making different themes. And in some way, like I think the last one definitely spoke back to the idea that we also, being fans of the series, very much recognize how we as fans like have spent a lot of time, having Final Fantasy Freddy's be part of our lives. Because we're talking about just 10 years of Five Nights at Freddy's being part of internet culture, being part of how we make new stuff, make things, and be inspired by that. It becomes like unanimous with it. And I think that in part is why the first song is so meaningful, because it was like one of the first instances of like the fandom expressing itself, and that became so tied into Five Nights at Freddy's, and it's really I think it's really good that we're talking about with a creator who have embraced the fandom as something that could enable having its own shelf life, because it enables people to express themselves through that.
And at the end of the day, look at how they turned out.
I mean,
Look
the
at
success
that.
is really
Look
just the
at
fact that there's a big fandom that, like ourselves, like we just love what it is.
Look at that, man. I honestly like the Sister Location one personally as well, with Circus Baby and all the fun time animatronics. I like that one a lot.
Personally speaking, as for a favorite FNAF song, Been So Long is obviously the top tier, to be honest. Aside from the obvious meme that spawned it from it. Not sure
Oh yeah.
how. I'm not even sure how like it was possible, but here we are, apparently.
I mean, Purple Guy looks goofy. I think that's just on its own a funny thing for me.
Just a funny little purple guy.
Yeah, it doesn't look like a murderer. That's why it's so funny to attach the man behind the slaughter to this goofy ass guy. I think that's why.
Still really, really great song. Anywho, speaking of the FNAF songs, I think it's no secret that like, well, it's not really. Well, the point is, recently, the first FNAF song that you made recently, it appeared in the Five Nights at Freddy's movie, which got so many people off guard. I mean, we always wanted it, but we didn't expect it to actually appear in it. I was wondering, like, how did you guys get that song into the movie, or what was it like working with Scott or the filmmakers?
It was so what happened was 2018. Scott sent me an email being like, "Hey, I'm working on the movie. Would you be interested in having the song be in it?" And that was 2018. So this was like because this movie had so much like production changes, and they switched companies as well, and a
Yeah,
lot of
this
the
was
process
before it was
between
even at Blumhouse.
Yeah, it was still with Warner at the time, and then when it switched to Blumhouse, the conversation restarted, and we still were very much interested in having the song being in it. And by the time this was confirmed, we were like, okay, now now we need to be quiet. Now we need to just wait a lot of time for it to finally be the yes that we are hoping for. And then we eventually, when the movie came out, it was like a relief. That's like finally like people get to see what happened behind the scenes this whole time.
It was great seeing the audience's reactions in the theaters ever since, like, as soon as the movie ends, like, they just cut right to the chase into the song, and then as soon as they hear it, everyone just notices it right away. And it's just everyone screaming and yelling, and everyone's just cheering.
I sure did. I
Yeah,
screamed,
no.
I screamed right into my friend's ear the moment I heard the first few notes. I am so sorry to said friend.
People liked
Yeah,
it so much they fought over it.
Oh yeah.
Dude,
That
it
so
was
funny.
crazy.
That was
yes.
that was so funny to discover it. You know, that was maybe the funniest way. Or I mean, obviously fighting is bad, but it's the fact that this was how the internet.
Fighting's
Oh,
bad.
you're aware
how
about
the
that.
internet figured out the song was in the movie.
Yeah.
Oh boy.
Who can ever forget the brawl of 23?
The Brawl
Yes.
of '87.
Yeah, I didn't even hear the song play. I just had it on mute when I first saw it. It's like, yeah, just seeing or just hearing that song appear in the movie was like it was surreal and like in the best way possible.
You
No,
know,
that was big highlight.
you know what would be funny though, to see the second song that you made from the FNaF songs lineup that you made for Living Tombstone. It'd be funny to see that, like, just Scott just goes up to you guys again and just asks you to put in the second song for FNaF 2 for the second film.
It would be amazing.
That'd be funny, man. I'm expecting it though.
I think again, the anticipation is killing me.
I want to see Sam Haft and Yoav in the second film. If I can see them in the end credits for that, I want to see them in it. That's all I'm
just
saying.
doing a little purple guy dance.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you guys could and
that's tradition.
just dancing around.
I paid money to see that.
that is when we do conventions. That is kind of our tradition when we do the song that we do the dance. We do the dance on stage.
Honestly, I might come visit you guys at one of your concerts coming up this summer. By the way,
I hope you do. They're going to be amazing.
Very fun.
I'd love to get some backstage passes. I'll bring Jackson and Jet and Etch with me, and I'll just be like, yeah. So this was another question. I know this is something Jackson wanted to ask you guys, and Jackson, you can ask him if you want. Actually,
honestly, this is your show, man. Just ask a question.
You sure? All right. Well, all right. So, like, what made you make the song "This Comes From Inside"?
I think it was just realizing that the series. Well, it's two things. The series has been going on for this long, and two, this was also a big difference. Game altogether in terms of how they made it, like this being like a first-person shooter that you can actually maneuver around, and it's also new animatronic designs altogether, which are fantastic designs, one of my favorite in the series. So there's a lot of like becoming something to it's kind of like, well, this is all new for everyone, because you're going 10 years in and suddenly things are changing and you are trying to wrap your head around it. So the song was basically trying to address the fact that, hey, the new characters are awesome and we love them and we love what they're doing, but it's also important to look back and notice what has been the journey to this point with the characters that has been the inspiration for the songs in the past. And that was like a big theme behind this. And also from a personal note, it's really just about the idea that there's a lot, your own personal growth that's not often easy to address to people, and part of what the song's theme is, like the chorus is about, is having things that you yourself can help, only yourself kind of help with, and you despite growing with everyone about what the franchise means to you, this is still like your own connection that means to you a lot as like a franchise.
And one thing I've noticed about the song was that, like, I've noticed like a lot of people interpreted the song in a multitude of different ways. Like, on the one hand, it's like people are taking the lyrics somewhat seriously in context of like this being FNaF and just being about, vengeful spirits and all that, but others like saw it as, like, for lack of a better word, venting about the current state of the series. So that was something I've personally noticed. So I was wondering, like, what are your thoughts on that?
Well, I was going to say, I think, it's kind of interesting that that's what the conversation is sort of turning into as well, because it kind of mirrors the FNaF fandom in that, like, I think so much of the fandom and like the world of being a fan of these games is like looking over every possible clue and people interpreting the same thing like in completely different ways. So it was very interesting that like this song also got treated in a large part the same way that the games get treated. And I think that level of ambiguity in there is definitely like there are parts that are for sure like intentionally ambiguous because like there are a lot of different like meanings that things could have.
I mean, the whole franchise started from like a tragic, event, and I think the song being about how it's 10 years in and the tragic event doesn't get remedied. Like there's no, particular justice being done. Michael Afton is still like, involved somehow. The villains of the story are still here. Like what happened in the past still hasn't like, passed on kind of thing. So I think that's like a big theme to what the song's about is, it all starts from something really like a momentous, situation, and there's nothing that you can like do to remedy it, basically. Like this comes from inside and stays there until you die is about having, so if this whole thing starts from something horrible, but if something horrible doesn't get remedied, then are you going to constantly keep it inside you? That's kind of the idea.
Okay. I didn't expect that to be the answer, but I mean that's what I thought. Okay.
Yeah.
I mean, that's all there really is to it. Am I right?
Yeah, but like this is just a lot to take in.
I know. Like, I do appreciate you guys like trying to answer these questions. I know. I'm not sure if the questions are actually like good enough, but like Jackson really did.
No,
put
they're
in
very
his
good
work.
questions.
Yeah. Jackson here, he's the writer.
responses.
He's the writer of the show, and I let him bring his creativity to the table. I let him write the questions however he wants to.
They're great questions.
See, look at that,
Thank you.
Jackson. See, they even think your questions are great.
Thank you. It means a lot. Right.
Of course.
Well, okay. It's on a somewhat lighter note. So almost 10 years ago, you guys released the Five Nights at Freddy song, correct? Like this, like the song came out like in August, I think. Right?
I think it came out August 14th. I want to say like August 14th, 2010, maybe something like that.
2014, but yeah.
Or 2014. That's what I meant. Yeah.
At the same year, there was this other song that Yoav made on May of the same year. I think Yoav might know what this song is. It's a little song called "The Road to El Dorado" remix.
Wow.
Personally speaking, I just wanted to know like what possessed you to make this song. Like, it's just so. This is just a personal question, to be honest.
No. Yeah, no, I have a response for you on that. So, oh my God. So at that time, because I was trying to figure out if there's cool things for me to do with the channel, I noticed that the website Channel Awesome, that guy with the glasses, was organizing like kind of like to see if there's any new channels to represent and feature on Channel Awesome, because I really like remixing things, and remixing movies is difficult because often you don't have an outlet to put it on if let's say YouTube is not necessarily knowing what to do with remixed materials. And so I thought if I joined Channel Awesome, it would be the case. So when they did that, it was kind of like a competition or something to enter the channel or enter the website, and they they denied me. They said no, we don't want this kind of stuff in our. I think in hindsight, this might have been a good thing, because I feel like that's what basically led me to pivot and say maybe there's other stuff I can make songs out of, and Five Nights at Freddy's was one of them. And I think, and by the way, I don't know if it's an obvious thing, but a lot of the same instruments, I think like 90% of the instruments from the Road to El Dorado remix is in the Five Nights at Freddy's song. So it's basically almost like the same, sounds and everything. It's all in Five Nights at Freddy's as well.
I did not notice that.
You're gonna start noticing all the different drums and the guitar stuff from the El Dorado remix appearing in Five Nights at Freddy's now.
Yeah, actually, moving on. Now we got all the important questions and such out of the way. Is there anything we can expect from you guys in the future? I know you shared some hints about an upcoming album and tours.
Yes, we have our upcoming album is called Rust, and it is coming out this year. or at least the first music from it is coming out this year. And we are going on tour in June and July, and maybe a little more than that, depending on how fast we sell those out. And in June and July, we are going to Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, New York, Washington, D.C., Boston, Massachusetts, Chicago, Illinois, Minneapolis, and St. Louis, and oh gosh, where else? Oh, we're also going to Houston, Dallas, Austin, Los Angeles, Santa Ana, and San Diego. Okay, that is. See, I remembered the tour dates.
That's really good.
Yay!
And is this
Congratulations.
your first time being on tour?
Like a
Not
real tour,
necessarily,
yeah.
no.
Necessarily.
I mean,
okay.
Oh, well, I mean, we've played shows before, but I would say like national tour. I think this is the first time we've done this.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it looks like I'll be seeing you guys in New York.
Yes,
Yeah, I'm gonna
Well,
come visit
great.
you guys. Don't worry.
please.
I'll have to see if you guys are going to be going to to any places I'm near, because I live all the way up in the Pacific Northwest. So
Well,
I'll have
we-
to see.
Well, we may add Pacific Northwest and Northern California. We also may add the Southeast as well.
All
So-
right.
But
Yeah.
it's those haven't been booked yet.
Right.
So you're likely to update the schedule, I'm assuming.
Yes, depending on I guess part of it is like it's depending on how fast these shows sell out, but it's likely.
It's gonna go crazy. I mean, I can already see that coming from a mile away.
It's very exciting. We announced these shows like less than a week ago, and I think this tour is already like 40% sold out. So it's really, really exciting.
Next thing you know, you guys just DM me while you guys are on tour, just sending me a selfie. You'll be like, "Hey, Mr. Safar, look at where we're at. We're on tour right now."
All right.
It's gonna be fun,
Yeah.
and I'm very happy for you both, and I am looking forward to seeing you guys on tour.
Thank you.
You're very
Thank you.
welcome.
Yeah.
I hope we put on a really good show for you.
Oh, you definitely will. I have seen past videos of you guys, and especially you guys wearing your sonas, and
Those are so they're so fun to like wear and perform in. I mean,
And
they're
you're-
also hard to wear and perform in, but
Are they
it's
actually?
very fun. Well, they're
Yeah,
very heavy.
are they?
Yeah.
They're heavy.
Oh.
Oh yeah,
Oh.
it's like because they've got like electronics inside them
Yeah.
and stuff, so it's like you're carrying around, probably like an extra 25 pounds all over your body.
my
I
God.
think personally, the hardest part isn't even the costume; it's the helmets, because it's just like imagine wearing a super heavy hat.
No.
Wait, so you're wearing the green one, and then Yoav is wearing the orange one, I'm assuming.
Yes.
Okay. And then you guys get another one in there, and I'm gonna be the blue one.
There is a blue one. That is Doc, our drummer.
Oh.
And he's the one behind you.
Yes.
Oh, that's actually funny. That's actually awesome.
I should really
Yeah.
brush up on my Living Tombstone character lore, to be honest.
No worries.
I wonder what your
You'll see
episode.
plenty of it at the tour.
I wonder what your episode's thumbnail is gonna look like on our podcast now.
That's a very good question.
Oh
Ugh.
boy, looks like we're gonna have to get to work right after this.
Agreed.
Honestly,
Anywho.
thank you.
You're gonna do great.
I do appreciate that.
Thank you again. Thank you very much. It means a lot.
Mm-hmm.
Of course.
All right. So, is there anything you guys would like to say to your fans, to the people watching / listening at all?
Yes. Thank you, for being not just fans of what we do, but also being long-term fans. Being around the project for as long as we have been doing music for it. And that's in the end of the day, I'm happy that we get to have this cool mutual, connection. Being into the same things that we are doing for you guys, and that means a lot. Thank you very much.
You're welcome.
We're incredibly fortunate to be able to do this. Like
You're-
this is we understand that this is like really not a common thing that like just anyone can have this sort of career. So it means a lot to us.
You're very welcome, and honestly, I'm sure all your fans out there appreciate everything you do throughout the way, and keep doing what you're doing. Don't stop.
Never.
We won't.
Keep doing you, my guy. Keep doing you. Stay sharp and ready.
And thank you too for taking the time out of your day to join us on this episode. Like, sorry to sound like a broken record, but it really, really means so much for you guys being here, especially since like a lot of us have grown up with your music, and it's been a huge part of our lives and our creative endeavors. It's just what I'm trying to say is just thank you in general.
No, thank you.
Thank you.
Of course.
So before we end it off here, I definitely would like to say like it's very nice to having both Sam Haft and Yoav Landau on the podcast. Is that how I pronounce your name, Landau? Is it, or am I mispronouncing it?
Landau, but
Landau. Okay,
Yeah.
so it's a pleasure to having Sam Haft and Yoav Landau on the podcast today. And Jackson, thank you for being here today as our co-host once more.
Anytime.
I wouldn't have anyone else besides Jackson. I'm gonna be real with you. Honestly, like in the future, if you guys ever want to be on another episode, I'd be down to have you guys again in the future.
Cool. Thank you.
thank you so much for the invite. Yeah.
You're very welcome. And I think that's just for now and until the next episode.